players had to take a knee to Coco knees. The police keep taking knees on our neck, how it's supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath when Kaepernick took a knee. When MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look defeat in the eyes and I declare victory. I'm fucking long, I go for the gusto, that's 6 for me. Right when I cross the TD, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thank him for waking me. I take a knee.
Yes, sir. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing
and
great.
welcome to the welcome to the #1 studio in Los Angeles, UBNGO, with Tony Sweet. Hey, we're here. We call it home for our Takeaknee Transition podcast. Relax and enjoy our tax session as we filter through the transitions of TuTu, the coach. I'm Coach Coco, and here with us tonight is our CPO Mike Adams, a.k.a. Mr. Synergy, D Hookup.
Yes, sir.
D Hookup.
So
it's pretty awesome. You know, we're here and we're looking at a few things. We want to share with you what we're doing with Takeaknee. At Takeaknee, we started our podcast last month, and in that podcast, it's a whole thing is done. We loaded it down into YouTube, and then we have it down on our Takeaknee website, so you can go down and get it all broken down on the Takeaknee website. Along with what we're doing is we're working really solid with our alliances, and as our alliances start to come into play, you know, we have the Friday Night Live, we have Coach V, we got Coach Osura and Perlina with the Dream Givers. We also is working with Paul with Halo. There's a few things that we're doing up there along with Jason Boyd up in Canada. Just want to give a shout out for all those guys that's been loyal and doing some crazy thing for us. But what we are doing right now is we're involved with the Cairo Summit, and the Cairo Summit is going to be working on May 25th, May 28th, and May 29th.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a virtual kind of a job fair, and we're tied in with Terrence Mayfield, and we're doing some crazy things, some wonderful things for people out there in the world. So if you're interested, take a look at Takeaknee and what we're doing, and get a piece on and get to see what we're doing within that Cairo moment. And who knows, you might be able to walk in there and see something that's going to be your passion. It might be able to change your life during the COVID and this transitions. So we wanted to share that with you guys as we did. And then also, we have a guest today, and it's one of our parents that's worked with us with Takeaknee for the last year and a half to 2 years. His name is James Winslow.
Hello.
His son is Ethan Winslow. And James, just want to thank you for coming over here and visiting us here today.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
And we appreciate it. And James, if you got something to say, we'd appreciate it. Just feel free to let us know.
Yeah, man, I just want to thank you for changing, you know, the trajectory of me and my son's life. I mean, we just this last weekend, we were at the Polynesian Combine in Nevada.
Awesome.
And my son really showed out. And it has, you know, I have to thank you for all the training that you've done for him. You know, my son goes to, he's an inside linebacker for Corona Centennial Huskies. Go Huskies.
There we go. Husky time.
So, you know, when he's coming up, you know, the competition's stiff. So I was like, who's the best of the best when it comes to learning the skills? And your name kept coming up. So, you know, then we bonded, and we've been together for almost 2 years now. So I want to thank you for that. So.
Awesome. And you know, we always say iron sharpens iron, and the cool thing is just having you there. It's a growth for all of us. Mike's been able to go to a workout and get to witness that thing, and it's awesome to have you here. Unfortunately, Ethan wasn't able to make it, but there's going to be another time we're going to be able to bring them in here and do a little round table.
We're going to have to get a little micro with Ethan.
Yeah, we'll get a little round table going with some of the kids from Centennial itself. But, you know, also it's important for us to always recognize and give an update on what is Tony Jefferson doing. You know, Tony Jefferson, we're powered by him, everything that's working right now. And he's got a few things on the plate, guys. And what Tony's doing right now, he's getting ready. And when I say getting ready, he's doing the extra work. He's getting into the grind, getting into the process, and he's got something on the plate. And once that plate is delivered, I think we're going to have an opportunity to mention it right here with Tony Sweet at the UBGN studio right here. Yes, we will.
Can't wait.
So once again, guys, let's just give a little shout out to Tony Jefferson and what he has done for us. You know, and at this time, I think the most important thing for us is just to bring out the guy who we're here to listen to, and that's Coach TuTu, and he's from Chicago. We got to get in and create a relationship with them. He does some incredible things with the youth. He's also he's involved with the politics. He's an elected official. He does some mindset stuff for the youth that's been embraced by the state of Illinois. He's a graduate from Tuskegee.
The Tuskegee TU.
So I'll keep it as it is. But I want Coach TuTu to just share with us his growth and then kind of give us a journey, Coach, as what has happened with you as a kid, your transitions and your pivots in high school, and then we'll just carry this thing on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thanks for the brief introduction. I truly appreciate it. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today, and excited about the things that the Takeaknee is putting in place. So as we get into my transition, we're gonna take you from a kid that was a high-ranking member of the Gangster Disciples to a high-ranking member of in local government, and we're talking about a lawbreaker to a lawmaker. So when I was 12 years old, unfortunately, I lost my father, a very tragic situation, and this led to me turning to gangs and drugs to try to fill that void of not having a father figure in my life. And ultimately, this led to an 8th grade expulsion. It led to 3 different high schools in order for me to graduate. Every high school that I went to, my reputation preceded me, and they always put me in this box. And they classified me as a bad kid. And I never forget my junior year, the dean of students, his name was Mr. Zick. He said, Donzel, you're going to be dead or in jail by the age 21. And I used that as motivation to motivate me to become the person that I am today. And I end up earning a full scholarship to the Tuskegee University, which allowed me to walk in the footsteps of Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, and the late, great Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes, sir.
There we go, baby.
Yes,
there we go.
So,
fly right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So graduated with honors from Tuskegee, was accepted into law school, became an entrepreneur. But the most important things that I am excited and proud about is marrying my wife, Bridget Simmons, and creating a beautiful family and creating these opportunities to give back to the same community that I grew up in. So those are some of the transitions that I'm excited about. And there was a time in my life where I was ashamed to talk about these things. Man. But now they serve as a testimony, and in hopes to inspire the next young boy who's in the same situation to where somebody's telling them that you're not going to be successful.
Yes, sir.
You know, and listening to you is pretty awesome because, and also in reading, I looked at a phase of what you wrote that motivated. Someone come and tell you that you have 1 foot in success, you have 1 foot in something else, and then you're not going to make it. And then here you are right here talking about all that stuff. And I know when you got into college, you know, there's some transitions that happen within there. You know, so as we look at that.
Yeah. That's where I met TuTu, was in college.
And what college was that, Mike?
The Tuskegee University.
You guys say
yeah, the Tuskegee. So
and then we got a out of it. All right. But, you see that, James?
It's very interesting though, because honestly, it was like there was 2 different groups kind of at the beginning. You know, you had your guys from California, you got your guys from Chicago, all kind of different places. So, you know, I got to see him from afar and within, and he always remained the same. And I always used to trip out, man, this dude's different. He doesn't talk about what he's about. He shows what he's about. Never talk, handles his business. Graduated with honors, handled his schoolwork. On the field was a straight beast, you know. But at the end of the day, to really witness and see that, to know the struggles that he went through and that he persevered, to see where he's at right now is definitely a template of success if I ever seen one in my life. It's something that definitely needs to be shared with our community, straight up. So that college era that I saw him in, man, was yeah, it was just really honestly a pleasure to witness, you know, which he could touch on later, but definitely a pleasure to witness the things that he went on to accomplish in the face of adversities, especially through injury, through, you know, just peer pressure from peers, through all kind of different things. You know, at that mindset, at that age in life, you know, when a lot of us turn away, and it's easy to go home and make excuses. You know,
Absolutely.
you chose to take a different route. Like, really, what? Honestly, how did you get to that point where you went and just said, you know what, I'm gonna make up my mind to go ahead and make this happen? Like, so what happened with your injury? And I always used to try to figure out what happened with your injury and how did you persevere afterwards and make up your mind to keep on pushing forward to accomplish all the great things that you have.
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I'm glad you brought up the injury, because a lot of young athletes don't know that injuries are a part of the game.
Yeah.
And the way that you bounce back from those injuries, or whether you are able to bounce back or not, can be the difference between sink or swim. So I, as you said, I was a beast on the field, and I played with a lot of anger, a lot of pent up anger.
Oh yeah.
So when I hit people, I hit them with a chip on my shoulder, because I'm still angry about losing my pops at a young age. So the injury came about on the last play of practice, when it was a big lineman who recovered a fumble. His name was Charlie Thornton.
Oh yeah, I remember Big Charlie.
And Charlie Thornton was about 375 pounds, and he ran all the way down to the 1 yard line. And I chased him down and I tackled him, and I tore the rotator cuff on my shoulder. Last play of practice, had no business even tackling him, just should have let him have his glory. But me being me, I did that. And that injury initially led to me not being able to return to football the next year. And college, and it's a business. It's a business of the business. So they took away my full scholarship and gave me a partial scholarship. Oh. And then when I refused to get the surgery, they took away my total scholarship. So at this point, it was up to me to begin to make a pivot, because college still needed to be paid for. So I wasn't going to be that kid to just go back home and just say, okay, I lost my scholarship, so I'm not going to be able to continue my education. So the pivot I made was to tap into another talent that God had given me, and that was the talent of being an entrepreneur and being an artist. So, to make a long story short, I ended up writing 3 albums and traveling around. We would take trips to travel around to different cities and different states to sell these albums. And I ended up paying for my junior and senior year from tapping into another talent. And this just comes from refusing to give up.
Refusing to lose, period.
And refusing to lose.
Yeah, and for you, it wasn't about hanging out. It was about getting out, and you did that.
Absolutely.
You went there with a mindset to finish the task at hand, and it didn't matter. You trained for the 100-yard dash, but they threw a hurdle out there for you. You just went over it and finished the race. Yeah. That's what
Absolutely.
you did.
A couple of hurdles, actually.
That's what you did.
Because at the end of the day, you know, like I said, the pivot and the transition he made, 1% do. We don't have that over our right and our left to look at those templates of success to see how to actually do this. So now that I officially know exactly what happened, and just to let y'all know, I was a part of some of those on the grind ENT experiences, and man, let me tell you,
yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely, yeah,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, hey, congratulations, brother, and to me, you're somebody who shows the rest of us that we can still be us. We can still have our swag and keep it pushing, and we can still accomplish the things we want to, and that we set our minds to do. And I know that you walk around every day in those footsteps, and I want to say personally, thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. I talk about you to a lot of people. I show them, and these things inspire other people to get other things started, and that's how it starts, you know? So I just want to thank you for that, brother. Thank you, man.
My pleasure, brother. My pleasure, man. And I'm glad you were a part of some of the experiences, and you said something that's so true. You said I didn't talk a whole lot, and that's something I still don't do. Yeah. I believe listening is one of the most powerful skills that you can obtain. So I listen before I say something. I think about it 3 times. So if it's somebody listening right now and looking for some guidance, that's something that I like. That's a gift that I like to share with you. Think things out 3 or 4 times before it come out your mouth. Because a lot of people talk too much and don't listen enough.
Man,
love it.
Yes, sir.
Gem dropping.
Love it. You know, Coach, just to separate a real quick on what we're doing, because the gentleman just walked in is one of our ex-players from Mount Sac, and he's the CEO and founder of Make Away Print. And what Make Away Print is, that where we walk around and the stuff that we have, our identity is because of Make Away Print.
Period.
When we walk out of anywhere and we show up, that's what you see. So I'd like to say I'm really excited that he took time off to get over here to the studio and spend a minute or so with us. So it's nice to have J. Rod Smith right here, an ex-sack dog, baby, right here. And here we are. Here we go.
Yes,
Here we
sir.
go.
We fired up here.
Right? So
Let's
me and
go.
Coach.
So J. Rod, just touch base real quick about Make Way Print, and that way we get this thing back on the road.
Make a Way, I guess the name kind of speaks for itself. Based out in Long Beach, and like you said, after football injury, had to make something happen and leave a legacy for myself.
There you go.
And my family. So this is something that evolved over things that I was doing, and it's just here now today. It's been my 1 year anniversary coming up May 31st.
Hey,
so
congrats on that, brother. Congrats on
Congrats.
that.
About the start. Good start.
And check this out, and he's a part of what we're all doing.
Yes.
So one way or another, we just got to stay with each other. That's just the way it is. See that,
And
James?
the pleasure is mine.
Yes, sir.
See that, James? So
Another 20-year relationship.
So we're blessed to have J. Rod here today, and going a little further into what we're doing, in everyone's phase of what they're doing, we all been affected by the pandemic,
Right.
Everyone in the world, and it's crazy because when you look at the world, it stopped. It didn't stop turning. No one stopped moving, but it stopped. And then you had to really sit down and give yourself the 360 that the world's doing.
Right.
And then what do I got to do? How do I change? At the halfway point of my life, I'm sitting down in Glendora because something happened to our home during the pandemic.
Right.
So we had to get relocated. And then Mike Adams comes into play and then starts introducing me all kind of thing. My life has changed 360 degrees. But it gave us an opportunity to sit down and say, what am I doing? Do I really want to do this? And is there something else that I can change and get into? Those are the transitions and the pivots that you make to be able to survive. Yeah. All of us have done that. And then for one reason or another, we gravitated to each other again.
Right.
And we've created our own Cairo moment.
Right.
And you don't know when that's going to come. So for us, it's here. Yeah. And we're walking right in it, and we're going forward with it. And that's the cool thing. We look at each other that's around right here. It's the world. When you look at us, we represent the world. And to go forward with it, we are truly accepting knowledge we're taking in need. That's why it's cool at this point of the halfway point that we recognize that. And when you get into the halfway point and you got to go forward and you got to look back into your old life, Coach TuTu, what do you grab from the three things that you grabbed that got you to where you are right before that pandemic came, and now you're at your halfway point? You can only bring three things with you into the second half of your life. And then when you go out there to kick off, it's 0-0, a brand new game. Yeah. So if you can, quickly, not quickly, because we do have time. We're ahead of the game. We're 5 minutes ahead of the game right now. So we can chip-chap and do a lot of things. Yeah. But the cool thing is this, is we're able, and oh my God, we got David Hills on the line too. So it's awesome when we got people here today. Hey, not just people, but hey, we got David Hill. Hey,
I've been here. I've been enjoying a little bit of sushi and some hot stickers for you guys, okay? Because I know you guys are hungry over there. I know you're hungry, but I ain't. But I've been enjoying listening to you, brother. I've been here the whole time. All of you, Mike and TuTu and Coco, and everybody's got cool nicknames. I don't really have a cool nickname. I'm a little disappointed about that. Coco and TuTu and everybody's got a nice
No. David Hill's the Sugar Hill gang. When I call David Hill, I go, Scooby-Doo, Bebop, Scooby-Doo.
Don't do that, Coco. They don't know.
Oh, I know. Don't be saying you don't got no name. But anyway, we got him here.
Yes,
and it's pretty awesome because he's close now. He's up in Indianapolis, and him and Coach TuTu are neighbors. So getting back to where we're at, we're at that phase. We're at that halfway point of that phase, okay? I just want to know, Mike, you talk about that because that's kind of a passion that Mike talks about what you do. And that was the first thing he had mentioned about what you do with the kids and just the psyche of what you do.
Yeah, really, and really what I wanted to touch base on, which I know you know, I always, every time that we do speak, I always speak about your social emotional learning programs, how you're actually creating programs to address, deal with, and possibly, hopefully one day solve adverse childhood experiences. Could you touch, I also know that you have something near and dear, organization that's near and dear to your heart called OurKidsCount.biz. You know, and what you've been able and managed to do upon researching, for what I've seen, is take an athlete that is going through all these different experiences, especially during the transition of COVID, and then you have athletes wanting to commit suicide, do all kind of different things. So you've created programs, and if you could you touch on some of these programs that you're impacting your athletes, not only impacting your athletes, but helping them find other lanes to achieve success?
Hey, Coach, before you touch on that, I want to just share with the world right here that the programs that Coach TuTu has established in the state of Illinois have been embraced by the education department in the state of Illinois. Yeah. So I appreciate that you're sharing that with us, Coach.
Man. Powerful.
Absolutely. Incredible. So what we're talking about is trauma. And as Coach Coco just mentioned, now we have an entire nation that has been exposed to some level of trauma. And the reality is trauma requires healing. And it's going to take years of intense strategies just to heal the traumas that's been experienced over this past 1 year.
Yes, right.
When we talk about our athletes and we talk about our students, the first thing that's going to happen post-pandemic is we're going to really need to know a true baseline of where our children are academically and mentally, and our players as well. In order to coach successfully post-pandemic, we're going to have to actually have a mental health screening component built into our coaching systems to address the social emotional needs of our children.
Yes, absolutely there.
Yes.
This is the truth. You know, when we think about children being exposed to trauma and adverse childhood experiences is a measurement that is typically in the sense of, have you grown up in a house that's a single parent? Have you grown up in a house that someone does drugs? Have you grown up in a house where someone was incarcerated? Have you grown up in a household where there was domestic abuse and all these different things, and you would measure and see how many ACEs somebody has? But now we have something called COVID where everybody has an ACE. Yeah. So I'm working with about 15 different school districts, and we're trying to map out how we can put together a program that provides screening for all children. Wow. In order to return to school successfully in person, we have to know where our children are, meet them there, and provide the supports and interventions so that they can be successful. So this next school year is not going to be so much about academics. Man. We can't go back to the same way where these schools are just testing factories, where we're trying to see how the kids test. We have a serious issue on our hands, and I say that because it's the same thing with the coaches. We have a set of children on our football field who have all been exposed to some level of trauma. And you may be the first touch point to begin the process of healing this trauma. So how do we incorporate this into football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, tennis, hockey, soccer, and all the different sports? Because as you know, many of us are serving as the first touch points of a group of kids that didn't go back to school, but they did go back to football.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this puts you in a position where now you're a frontline worker. This puts you in a position where now you're a therapist, essential. You're a social worker. You're not just a football coach. So these are some of the things that we're going to have to address post-pandemic. And I'm excited because
You got some solutions.
We have the solutions.
Exactly.
And if we truly care about the sport of football, then we're going to have to be a part of how can we make sure that our coaches are trained and being provided the supports and interventions that they need to be able to support the students and athletes that they service.
You know, that's awesome, Coach, because what you're talking about is moving forward. You know, you're talking about let's get on the train and let's get that thing to go. But the way to get on the train and get that to go, you truly got to take a knee and you got to truly accept the knowledge and get the right template and the right tools from a gentleman like Coach TuTu, who has that as a template and he's working right now, I'm excited because you're right. We're right now with the kids right at it. And administration, a lot of people, everybody has the right thing in mind for the kid, but they're throwing us out there. We're in a fire without water.
Yeah.
But we're willing to turn it off with our souls.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So now what you have is a program that we can embrace, we can share it with our communities, and then hopefully that can infiltrate into what we're doing. That way it's not just a movement in Illinois, it becomes manifesting out of Illinois throughout the whole United States. And who knows, maybe what you're saying right now, and we get it out in this podcast, it'll have a meaningful meaning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So thank you for sharing that, Coach. That's crazy. And as we get into the second half, Coach, it's 0-0 and you're lined up, you're kicking off. It's a brand new everything. People are saying, well, what is going to happen in the COVID? Well, you know what? There's no jobs. There's a lot of jobs because a lot of people don't want to be who they were. Right. Now they recognize that I can go out there and reach my passion and then be who I am, which means now other people, those jobs are there. So if there's no jobs, it's because we're really not looking for it. Yeah. As humans, we're really not looking for it. So once again, if you really want to go out there and reach your passion, there's that summit that's coming up, the Cairo Summit. And as I see it, Terrence Mayfield's here. He's here in presence with the Zoom deal. So I just want to acknowledge Terrence for being here.
Method man.
Because we wouldn't be talking about a Cairo moment if it wasn't for Terrence. So Terrence, thanks a lot for opening our eyes for things that's been happening in all our lives, because now we can reflect back and recognize that we were not ignored. It's always been there. Now we get the blessings to see and get those eyes to get open and really recognize what's happening. But in this new life, Coach TuTu, there's going to be new goals. There's going to be new tools, new challenges, and you're going to need a new mindset. And knowing what you've done during the COVID, the pivot and transition has been pretty crazy, because all you do is go there and win this, you win that. Everybody that you're in, they succeed. Coach TuTu does some crazy things for the community too. He gives back. He gives back in Christmas. He gives back in Thanksgiving. He takes his hit squad, his student athletes, out to the neighborhoods, and they shovel the snow. That way the elders can get out of their home, in and out. And for them, that is rewarding. Yeah. And when I see that kind of stuff, I go, oh, my Lord, this guy needs to share what he's sharing. So, Coach, with all these new tools and all this stuff, can you just go and touch base on the new mindset, on how you're elevating community, you're elevating family, you're elevating individuals? That needs to be shared, because that needs to be infectious. That needs to go out. That needs to be its own pandemic right now.
Yeah,
absolutely. And what we're talking about in a nutshell is preparing for the new normal, because the reality is things will never be the same as they were before 2020. So, we keep using this word pivot. Pivot, and I love the word pivot because pivot is incorporated so much in sports, especially in basketball, but football as well. And a lot of pivots have had to be made. And a lot of people talk about, what were the strengths that you found within yourself during the pandemic. And, those are the strengths that wouldn't have been able to be identified if there was no pandemic. So we always want to look at the silver lining in things. And when you talk about the pivots that we've made with the hit squad, which has become a household name in the Chicagoland. These are my boys that have gone out and we've participated in the park rebuild. This is just simply having the kids come out and invest in their community and show them to take pride in their community, but also it's a part of the healing process, right? Yeah. Because there's something therapeutic about painting. There's something therapeutic about getting out there and pulling weeds. There's something about there, connecting with nature and doing these different things. So they think they just rebuilding the park, but they don't even know that this is the first step in their healing process to come up out of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man.
Awesome, Coach. Yeah. Well, there's a story behind the story, I tell you on that one.
There's levels.
Lord.
There's levels.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that, James?
There's levels to what he's talking about.
Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's levels to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know, listening to him talk, I could, look back at myself, and you said that the coaches are the frontliners for the kids, but they really helped me too, right?
Yeah.
Because it gave me a focus, because I was lost during the whole pandemic as well.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we really don't realize how deep it really gets. Just for coaches too. Like a coach being able to coach is probably clearing his mind from the last
Oh
year.
yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
You know, so we're really healing each other, and it's really a reset in what's going on. You know,
Man.
it's deep, and there's levels to what you're talking about. I want to see
Absolutely.
the movie. I want to see
Absolutely.
the movie.
Yeah, man. We actually in the process of writing a book and doing a documentary, because you're right, there's levels to it. And on the surface, the things that we do on the surface, people say, "Hey, coach, great job," but they don't really know, what's really going on behind the scenes. And there's a bigger picture to this.
Yes,
We talking about coming out of a pandemic that no one in our life, no one living has experienced this type of pandemic. So we don't know the answers, and we don't know the correct pivots. All we can do is do what we think is best. But one thing we all know is everybody in America has been isolated, and isolation creates trauma. Isolation is a tactic that's used to imprison people, or they isolate you when they put you on house arrest, or they isolate you when they when you're in prison, they throw you in a hole. We've all experienced isolation. Everybody has to regroup and be healed from this isolation that we've experienced, not to mention the tragic of if you caught COVID, or if you had family members that died from COVID, the trauma has just been elevated.
Yeah.
But one common thing that you can say that everybody on this call and everybody that you talk to and everybody that you see tomorrow, everybody has experienced some level of isolation. And you do your research on what isolation does to the mind, body, and soul, and you'll realize that the healing is necessary for everybody.
Period. So,
You know, that's awesome, because what we just kind of went through, if we were to look at a new life in your second half, there's always going to be a sudden change. There's going to be a turnover because it's brand new. And when that turnover comes, is there's always a timeout. You guys, you know how that is, because
Absolutely.
you got to gather everything. Everybody started running. It's like a fire drill on the sideline. Defense, offense, turned it over. I like saying it that way, because we're defensive guys. So then we got to go there and make things happen. And then the first thing they're going to do is they're going to come right to the side, right to the numbers, and we gather around, and it's like, okay, coach, what's happening? Because we're in a panic mode. Yeah. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to get their mindset right. We got to remind them that, this isn't our first rodeo. You go out there and then you recognize, they fumbled the ball inside the 1 yard line or back to the goal line. These guys can remember. I've gone out there in the huddle and look at the ball and go, wow, I thought they were closer than that, so we should be able to hold them. And then we would hold them. But right then and there, the mindset would go good. And then I would just say, guys, if we can get over first down, we're going to win second, third, and fourth.
Yep.
So if we can calm the nerves, we can calm the nerves.
That's it.
And when I look at the mindset, how important it is to get young kids during this phase of life, like you're talking about. It's touched everybody. But when you can bring them all together and recognize that circle is not just a circle standing with each other, but they really do have their arms around each other's shoulders. So it's a circle that cannot be broken inside or out. And you tend to maintain that. Not only do you tend to maintain that, you work with the youth league. And I know you're already making the mindset of the coaches to get right to develop another hit squad. Because I see that, and to me, having that concept of recognizing that to get to the championship, you got to know how to walk in it. Then you can go back and go from the ground to the crown. It tends to see that that's what you do, coach. You get those kids and you get to do that. It's a template in itself, and you find the pivots and the transitions during the course of what we're doing. I think it's wonderful, guys. Just for us to be able to sit right here. I wasn't expecting to sit right here and truly take a knee every damn minute of it, every second of it, because you are dropping some incredible nuggets that people are going to grow. Programs going to. This really, when people said, Coco, why do you want to do a podcast? Well, I had to think about it. And then I thought about where we're at. And the whole thing was the transitions that people are going through and the pivots that you have to make. And I thought about if we get to the right people, guys, and we bring some people in, they're going to have some templates that they're going to share with the world. And if we break it down right, there's going to be segments in there that other people are going to do. And this tells you why we're doing a damn podcast. Coach, you are awesome, dude.
Man.
You are awesome.
Yes,
I clap early for you. Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
I clap
First
early
impression
for
lasts
you.
a lifetime, bro.
Clap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. I
You know,
appreciate it.
And what's pretty cool is we set up this format for it to work, and we've gone through it, and we thought we were going to be, you know, tooth and nail with the second. We're like 8 minutes ahead of what we're doing, so we're going to be able to really work this thing pretty awesome. But as we look at in that sudden change, those kids got the right guy to be able to call a timeout and go get them right.
Oh yeah, and it's a good feeling too to be one of those kids to go over there and know that they're in the hands of that. If somebody who 100% has their best interests at heart and is going to guide them the right way. You know, I know we've had coaches. When we go over there, you know that coach don't care about us. We just, you know, but when you have that, like what I have with Coco, you know, like I'll run through anything, match anything for him because I knew he would do the same for me. And I saw it multiple times within our own coaching staff, within where he came to defense for us. You know, when you see that, I don't think a lot of coaches understand how much that really motivates us. And that's really one of the key things that we look for to really gravitate toward, because a lot of us are looking to belong, you know? Right. So when you see those things.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Mike, man. And you know, what I consider myself more than a coach is a motivator. And something that I always tell my kids is if I don't panic, you don't panic.
Yeah, right.
We could be losing 30-0. If I don't panic, you don't panic.
Yeah.
I tell the kids we're gonna win. It's halftime, we down 30-0. We're gonna win. What you mean? What if I don't panic, you don't panic. And that's something that I was doing before the pandemic, but during the pandemic, that mindset taught me, you know, somebody has to be the strong, has to be the backbone during this pandemic, because everybody's scared.
Right.
That's right.
And everybody's looking for somebody to say it's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? When I brought the hit squad, I started. The pandemic brought me to coaching 7-on-7, to which we've been able to travel the country. I started the 7-on-7 team because I said, how can I get my kids out the house? They depressed. They getting lazy. They want to get out the house. What can I do? You know what I mean?
Coach is a getting out guy, huh? You ain't about hanging out,
make
dog.
A way, man.
You gotta make a way.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how I can get, and this is just a silver lining story. You know, I'm trying to figure out how I can get these kids out. And I say, man, I'm going to start a 7-on-7 team. And that's why when you see the pictures, Coach, you see me with 8 kids, 9 kids. We going to tournaments, they got 30 kids, man.
Yeah.
And we went, my kids going both ways, but they dogs because it's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
This saved us from the pandemic, getting out here on this field and doing 7-on-7.
Right.
And they said we couldn't have a lot of kids. So I said, we're going to get 8 or 9 kids then. So the village don't say, hey, Trustee Franklin out there with a bunch of kids. You know, we social distance, we got 10 kids, and, you know, we're doing it the right way. And it turned into something till now where my kids are getting recruited because of 7-on-7. And the college is not even seeing these guys tackle. They saying they some dogs. And we ain't got to see them tackle.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
the big part of that has to deal with when they go and the person that they talking to and that we talking to, and then they see how you present yourself and what you about, then, I mean, honestly, that's integrity. If anything,
pedigree.
right there, straight up.
Yes,
So I know they want that.
You know, Coach TuTu's, you could tell he's low key and kind of humble in his way too. He's won, I believe, close to 4 or 5 national titles as a coach. His record's like 117 and 13. You know, something in those ridiculous numbers. But it shows that, you know, he's definitely the right guy for, you're the right guy for the job. You know, you're doing it. You're making it happen. And when I look at it, you know, Coach TuTu's son, as a 10th grader, he's the only 10th grader in the whole state of Illinois to make the all-area teams. to make those teams as a 10th grader, as a return specialist, and then he's also an honor student, which is awesome. So, you know, the package is right there, and the beauty of it is the University of Iowa offered him a scholarship already as a 10th grader, so he has one on the plate.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And he's got 2 years left. And where does the mindset go from here for you and your family as you continue, you know, the pivots and the transitions into the new you, you know, for your son? And now that I'm listening to you, I put out over here on the side of my column off of that. I go, my answer to it was embrace it all and stay hungry. And I look at, when I wrote that stuff down, I wrote it down just in a sense for your son. And I hope the hit squad is listening, or they're going to get to see that.
Yeah.
Because what you've provided is you provided a platform for all.
Yeah.
For all that breathe, for all that drinks the water, for all that bleed red, for all. And it's awesome. So when I talk about embrace them all, I was talking about your son having one scholarship, and as they all come in, be as excited for every single one of them. Yeah. But I'm saying that now to the hit squad because my mindset has changed just listening to you. Yeah. So when you look at the hit squad right there, those kids, they have a place to go. We as coaches got to put our finger to the button and find a scholarship or where they're going to land. And Coach, you're incredible because they've embraced it, what you've been able to provide. They're reaping the benefits of it. They see what's happening. They're hungry, and they're going to get a lot going with them. And down the road, I mean, you're doing some awesome work. So when there's 2 minutes left, and you got to make a deadline, Coach, and you got to make a deadline away from sports, away from football, and that deadline comes, how important is it to attack that at the finished mindset as possible when you come into a phase in the pandemic as a new you?
It's extremely important, and with the boys, you know, with the one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that, you know, we're using football as a vehicle, and you know, the publicity that we get from football, we want to leverage that. And we leverage that in a way that we are ensuring that we're giving back to our community to show younger athletes that football is just a small piece of it. So we've been getting more into the community service projects. We may practice 3 days a week and do community service projects 4 days a week, right? Yeah. So we know athletically we have it. So now how can we fine tune the other things that we really need to fine tune, which is our community service, which is our giving back, which is our projects, which is our ways to teach them how to invest back into their community before they become NFL athletes. So when we do things in the community like the Easter egg hunt, and I had the kids passing out books and toys, I tell them, like, this is what the NFL players do when they retire. Yeah. They go back to their community and they throw Easter egg hunts and they give away bikes and they do these type of things. I say, look at what y'all doing. Even if you don't make it to the NFL, you're doing the things that the NFL players want to do when they retire or once they get there. They want to come back.
Coach TuTu, you're a beast, dog.
Message.
Man, stop.
You've already accomplished. You've already accomplished what your favorite NFL player would like to accomplish once he's done with the field. All he want to do is go back to his community that he grew up in and throw Easter egg hunts and do food drives and give back to the kids, and y'all doing it, and y'all just 10th grade.
Hey, Nike says just do it. Nike says just do it. Coach TuTu said already been done. Already been done. Already been done, baby.
Already
been done.
Taking it off the list, man.
Take it off the list. Exactly. You know, it's crazy, Coach, that we talk about the importance of getting your name called, just the importance of it, and everybody that I train, we talk about getting your name called. Yeah. Well, number one is you get your name called in education, then you get your name called in community work, and then you get your name called on the football field. And if you do all that stuff after a Friday night, somebody's gonna call you on Saturday morning. Why? Because they've made all those checks. They've heard your name on the loudspeaker that whole night, and now they're calling you to give yourself a scholarship. Why? Because you've done all that. Your son did that. So what you do, and we talk about it all the time. We talk about the first thing that you better worry about, and we use two parents all the time. A parent that both have kids that score a lot of touchdowns, but one doesn't have good grades and the other does. But the one that doesn't have good grades, they're more excited about the touchdowns than anything. Yeah. And then when they get to high school, they're so excited about the touchdowns. And they don't understand why their kid's not getting a ride. And then the other kid got a scholarship and everything. Yeah. Because the parents, they're wondering, well, why? They shouldn't have benched that kid. Why they benched them? You know, no one's checking grades at that age, but the parents benched them. And that's important because they made it very important at a young age that you go to school and you get it done. And when we talk about transitions in Takeaknee, those things are handled in life, and it's handled by our society and education. First period to second to third to fourth to fifth to sixth to seventh period. It's a 5-minute change. You got to change your mindset, you got to change your posturism, and you got to change how they're speaking, a different form of bilingualism for you to be successful in that short phase. When we graduate and we get out of that phase, as adults, we panic in transitions. Yeah. If you notice the kids, they're smooth in these transitions because they haven't got out of school to leave those transitions alone. They're on the court right now constantly in transitions. So education's important. And then community, people say, well, how do you get them in community? And number one is I tell my kids, clean your room, pick up the trash, take the trash out. And then once they learn that they have to do that, that's community already. So then as they get older, they help the lady with the bags, they help people in the wheelchairs. They do that. And then they recognize that that's value. And then working hard and getting your name called in your drills and getting it done. Boom, 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 boom. And then because you do that right, your name's called because you're making all the plays on the ball. And during the course of that time, a recruiter's been already talked to your counselors and know that your name's been called in the classroom. A recruiter's gotten some letters from the community churches. They know that you're doing that. And then he goes to the game and he sees your kid, your 10th grade son, walk out and go, wow, his posturism, his mannerism is exactly the way his grades and everything represent. And then he gets his call on Saturday morning. Yeah. When we can establish that template at the earliest of age, then we will establish the greatestness at the earliest of age. Yeah. So we've learned in the United States and reading left to right, what a lot of football coaches fail to do is stay left to right. They want to reinvent things and get kids looking right to left. It's hard. The mental mistakes we do is because of that. We don't embrace the toolbox that our society has given us. We truly try to find the tools that don't belong and blame society. Yeah. So vanilla or chocolate? I choose vanilla and I don't need to justify it to nobody. I choose it because I choose it. I got to live with the consequence, right? And really that's it. That is it in a nutshell, and that's the mindset, and you develop it. The kids know how to get their name called. It's established everywhere. Those three things are established everywhere. Different communication, just like a different class. You have to understand, we have to understand, we have to embrace and posture ourselves how the bilingualism affects you. You have to, we have to, they have to, anyone has to be able to pivot the transition and get in there and be successful. And it's happening right now, guys. It's happening as we go.
Yes, sir.
So, on our last play of the game, Coach, if you have something to just shout out to the people out there, shout it out. Give us a quote that's going to resonate and they'll know that's Coach TuTu. What would it be?
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about trauma and the healing process. And if I had one thing that I would like to leave to the people, I would say that happiness comes from within. Okay. So peace is an inward journey. And the only way that you can ensure that you travel safe on this inward journey is to ensure that you're not only taking care of your physical, but you're taking care of your mental.
Yes, sir.
Self-care is the best care. Take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of self, you're not able to take care of others. Yes, so always remember that happiness comes from within. It's not an external thing. It comes from within. So I wish everybody safe travels on their inward journey. And I ask that God bless you on that inward journey. But just understand that true happiness comes from within. When we look for external factors for happiness, that's when we become unhappy. So if the pandemic didn't teach you anything about yourself, you know, I hope that coming out of the pandemic, you'll be able to learn, you know, what's really required for true happiness.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. I know we're getting to our closing right here, guys. And what we do is we end up with a little recap on what's going to be coming. Our next guest is going to be Matt Logan, the head coach from Corona Centennial. He'll be on June 16th. A week after that, we'll have Chris Ricks on the 23rd. We want to thank Tony Jefferson for providing this right here.
Mr. T. Jefferson. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
And guys, hey, Mike, I don't think they're ready for this, but at this point, we got to do what we do. We want to thank our wives for giving us an opportunity to come here and getting us away from home.
Baby
Thank you,
girl.
wife. Love you.
Thank you.
But I want to thank you guys for that.
I said thank you.
And at this time, guys, it's now tack time all the time.
And add a hashtag on that.
It's been at it. Here we go.
Tack time, all the time. Tack time, all the time. Come on. Tack time, all the time. Tack time, all the time. Come on, I take a knee, I take a kid and make him see, make him believe in chasing his dreams and destiny. Truly accept the knowledge, a part of the recipe. In order to have an impact, I first must invest in me. We sowing seeds, locally, globally, overseas. Integrity, dignity, yeah, we living by both of these. The season my players had to take a knee to cope with these. The opponents keep taking knees on our neck, how we supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath when Kaepernick took a knee. When MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look for feet in the eyes and I declare victory. I'm walking long, I go for the gusto, that's 6 for me. Right when I cross the TD, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thank him for waking me. I take